So the world watching to see if Putin and Zelenskyy will meet. What do you make of the summit happening in Istanbul? And do you think these two leaders will actually come face to face?
Well, thank you for having me. And you're exactly right. This could be a very big deal, or it could be nothing, because if Putin doesn't show up, Zelensky won't meet with Putin's deputized team, and there will be no meeting of value. But I believe Putin will show up, and I think he'll show up because he's kind of forced himself into a corner by calling for this meeting, and then Zelensky accepting it. I think Putin's going to be in a tough position with President Trump if he doesn't show up for this meeting. I do think President Trump should stay away, let Secretary Rubio kind of handle this, because this is not going to be the final meeting if they meet together. But it will be one that could get serious work done towards a cessation of hostilities if Putin shows up, and then President Zelensky will show up if Putin does.
Interesting that you suggest that he kind of forced his own hand. You just mentioned President Trump said he's willing to go. You think that he should stick away. But let's talk about this trip that he's been on in the Middle East. How effective has his tour been so far? And is there anything that stands out to you most?
Well, it's been a good trip for him, and I would say, by the way, on going to the meeting, the fact that I don't think he should go will have no reflection on the outcome. He'll go if he thinks, he could get something done there. This has been a great trip. The meeting in Saudi Arabia was a significant, both in terms of U.S. military arms sales, but also foreign direct investment by Saudi Arabia in the United States. Some number between $600 billion and $1 trillion. So that's important. And it really does demonstrate what Donald Trump's foreign policy is all about. It is economic security driven, and it's very transactional. And he's very clear about this. He doesn't hide it. It's not the traditional way that we conduct foreign policy in the United States, but it has positive effects. And this trip is one of them. And I think we'll see the same coming from Qatar and from the United Arab Emirates, the same kind of direct investment, but at a much lower scale than Saudi Arabia, because they're a much more wealthy country.
Yeah, you mentioned Saudi Arabia. President Trump, he's urging Syria to normalize ties with Israel by joining the Abraham Accords. Two questions. Do you see that happening, Mark? And then with Saudi Arabia, the kingdom, it continues to say it won't join until there's a path for Palestinian statehood. But do you think President Trump might be able to get Saudi Arabia to the negotiating table?
Yeah, so I'll take those two things separately. Syria, this was an interesting thing to say I'll relax what are nearly 40-year-old. Some of these sanctions go back to the 1980s. Many are from the 2000s to 2000 and after the 2010 uprising. But these are decades worth of sanctions that he's willing to lift. And the interim president, al-Shara, he looks good. We do need to remember his past. He was an al-Qaeda fighter that fought the United States. It worries me sometimes when the president says he's a very strong guy, he has a good past. He doesn't. He's a very bad guy. Now, he may be operating in good faith now, but he was an al-Qaeda terrorist fighting the United States for a decade, in fact, jailed by us for some period of time. I do think that with Syria, relaxing these sanctions could give this interim president the opportunity, to kind of pull Syria out of the basement that it's in, financially and economically. The Saudi thing's different. This is a good move. I mean, the Saudi Arabia move is, moving Saudi Arabia along towards joining the Abraham Accords is a good thing for the United States. It's a good thing for Israel, and it's a good thing for the Middle East. And the only country it's a bad thing for is Iran. And it'll solidify, those Sunni Muslim countries with Israel in opposing Iran's attempt to be, have regional dominance in the Middle East. So I really think that's a great job he's done. He doesn't have across the finish line, and he won't until we have some further resolution in Gaza.
All right.
He moved them.
Mark Montgomery, Rear Retired Admiral and Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Mark.